not fighting.
A show about, well, I don't know. This is about a lot. This is jiu-jitsu.
Our opinions on jiu-jitsu and all other things.
Yeah, you get it all.
Yeah.
It's like,
oops, sorry, my phone's
come on. Like, what is this? Your first podcast ever?
Yep. I'm a noob.
So we were just kind of talking a little bit about, like, right before we started this podcast, we saw that the state of California just issued a curfew for
I can't roll my eyes hard enough because I don't understand. Okay, if we shut down or if everybody's in by 10 p.m., be in at 10, so then the virus can't get you.
Yeah, it's like, do you turn into a pumpkin? The thing that I don't understand about it is just like, is it the people that are out past 10 a.m. or like 10 p.m. that are the ones that are like spreading it? Because all the bars and all the like nightlife,
everything
stuff, like,
has to close at 10 right now.
Shut down as it is. So it's like, what is it that people are doing? I guess
like, oh, if I have to be inside by 10, it's like, that's fine. I'm just gonna be at my friend's party at 10.
And I should clarify that it's like I'm not some like anti-virus person. In fact, we take quite a few different precautions.
Yeah, I mean, I like started feeling kind of like I had a like sinus infection type ish, maybe like a cold this week, and so I got tested and then like kind of stayed away from everyone until I knew that it wasn't COVID and my test came back negative. So, and I still stayed away from one more day just to be on the safe side. So it's not like we're like, oh, it doesn't exist.
Yeah, we both have been getting tested. And it's like, that's what's difficult right now. Difficult for everybody. But, the moment and you'll get this in jiu-jitsu quite a bit, a little bit sore or fatigued,
Yeah.
You're like, man, do I got that COVID?
Yeah.
Or you think you have allergies, but you like second guess it every way. It's like, there's a billion different times that I've been like, oh, I think this is it. I think I got it this time,
Mm-hmm.
And that's I know it's a really common sentiment, and literally everybody can say to themselves, like, I think I might have got it a while back.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it like really hard to figure out too, is because there are instances where like that is what people get, like very, very mild symptoms.
Like everything can be a symptom of COVID, so it's very hard to tell. But I think that obviously the shutdown or what we did at the beginning of the year didn't stop it from spreading, and it didn't stop anything. So shutting everything down again doesn't really make sense to me. But I feel like it's happening because the holidays are coming and they're trying to deter people maybe from celebrating.
That's what I dislike.
And maybe that's just California.
I dislike ingenuine attempts to try to get people to do stuff. So like, we were talking about this the other day, but like Fauci at the beginning saying like, oh, people shouldn't wear masks, and he said it because he's like, well, we didn't want people to go out and buy all the masks so first responders couldn't get it. Tell people that.
Yeah.
Like,
because now like we've been like we feel like we've been lied to. So you don't trust anything.
And now it's hard to convince people to wear a mask because they're like, well, am I being manipulated again or whatever? It's like, no, not this time. You're not. But everybody does need to wear a mask. And I think that that's one of the things that's making everything quite a bit harder. But luckily, we also, in the past 2 weeks, have had two different drug makers announce that they have a vaccine that's like 90 to 95% effective. And so, I mean, I think there is this, version of the future where we don't have near the kind of like
we don't have all the precautions for COVID.
I was gonna say like just the ever living presence of COVID.
Yeah,
it's not necessarily that it goes away, but I
think
it's
like maybe the end's in sight.
Yeah, because I mean you can imagine probably next summer ish, like people have a decent amount of people have gotten the vaccine, a decent amount of people,
and like 50% of the population's probably already had the virus.
Yeah, and so you'll be in this position where it's like regular life will start to get back to normal, and I think that one of the things that's really interesting about that is jiu-jitsu, because like jiu-jitsu in 2020 is weird, like you know what I mean, like when you look at the whole of people, because some people are participating, some people are not, some people are like participating to some degree, but maybe not others. And I just mean like participating from a standpoint of like teaching classes and, just regular stuff like that.
Yeah, and I think, I think that it'll just be like interesting to see, because as much as people are ready and itching to get back to competition, I think that you see that with like a lot of the stuff that was put out there, like instantly filling up or whatever, and maybe irresponsibly so.
Well,
in
yeah,
my
I mean,
opinion,
when you're talking about tournaments, for sure.
Yeah, for like tournaments, but it's like, what is that landscape going to look like going forward? Is everybody just going to fall back into the same routine of like, the major tournaments following worlds are like, or is it going to, we're going to see this shift where these,
One-off
professional
pro
shows and
unquote.
things like that are becoming more and more popular, because you see like them hosting like these like tournament style events, like Polaris did. It was like they had like a team event thing, and the
Which
Subversive.
I really like, by the way. I used to like the quintet format. I don't know what happened to them, but that was kind of cool.
I mean, Quovid probably.
Quovid. No. But yeah, no, I agree with you. I think the interesting piece about what you said was that, are people going to go back to doing the, kind of like they're fall into the routine in terms of tournaments or competing or whatever. But
I have a thought though. I think that what you're gonna see is that kind of the old guard, like the OGs that have been like that have made their name, and like the people who you're used to seeing at the top of the podium are kind of gonna maybe transition into like other things, like those professional things where we're getting paid or like those kinds of opportunities, and then you'll see these kind of new up and comers taking like the stage for the like big tournaments. And I could be wrong about that, but I don't know. I just see like the nature of the sport, and especially maybe it's just because like some people like travels shut down here that you don't see everybody participating. But I could also see people like, oh no, like I can like work like really hard or work half as hard and get paid, or I can like enter this tournament where I'm like spending all my money and time for nothing. For free.
And get drug tested. Spend money to compete.
Yeah. When you're paying money to take those drugs.
I feel like there's so many things that are polarizing. It's like I have to like clarify that I'm not on an extreme side of just about anything.
I mean, I'm on all the extremes.
But
okay.
I am sort of anti-drug testing if it's like the organization is spending out money that could go to athletes to test people.
Well,
whenever.
It's just a silly thing. Like if we want to talk about the drug testing, like especially for like IBJJF, it's, a for-profit event where the athletes are paying to participate, and then you're going to drug test me and then ban me from participating in your tournaments that I paid to. So like that doesn't make sense to me.
That like purple belts are competing in,
Yeah.
And it's like we're just going to do this with one division, and that leads me, which is funny. You and I didn't talk about this before, but I agreed with your point about like the old guard and the new guard and what types of things we'll do. I actually think what you're going to see is if the average person doesn't even want to compete in a tournament that's like IBJJF or like world tournament, like the average like person that does compete, which I think everybody should at some point, like they're gonna do the local tournament, they're gonna do the tournaments that are available that their team does, that their friends do, and I think that you're gonna see those start to come back probably next year because there'll be people willing to participate, and then the larger tournaments will be things that are like separate, like you won't have the world champion competitive black belt competing in the same tournament as like master one purple belts or just even adult purple belts. I think you'll start to see that diverge more and more. Maybe sans one or two.
But how do you say that? Because I don't see that happens. I see that IBJJF. I think they still have like this stronghold because you see people like itching to get back to competing at Worlds, and just the competitors in our gym, alone, just like dying to get.
Why?
I know I don't understand why either. But maybe it's because like, like for me, like I've had opportunities. I've I have opportunities to compete in these other pro competitive events, but not everybody has the opportunity. So I don't think that that's going away anytime soon. I just think that the faces are going to start to change, and maybe like they would change sooner than what they would have if COVID wasn't in the mix,
Yeah. So I will say this is kind of a bold prediction. I'll probably be wrong about, but I actually think that the demand for jiu-jitsu in 2020 is going to go up significantly, but the demand
in 2021.
2021. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you. And and I think that the demand for tournaments in general of every segment, probably some more than others, will go down.
Why?
So I think partially because we've missed this, and you could see a rebound effect from this too. I think there's basically been an entire year where people have had to kind of move away from that and haven't had a chance. You'll for sure have people that come back strong, but then you'll have a lot of other people, I think, that have had to do some soul searching this time period and just kind of ask like, why? And then
truly.
And I think still, like, when you get back to it, you're going to have a lot of new people starting jiu-jitsu, a lot of people getting back. And I don't think that the goal for them will necessarily be to compete, but rather just to, like, do jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. I don't know. Because I feel like maybe you and I might be jaded because of, like, my own soul searching and, like, kind of, like, thought and feelings on
or maybe
jiu-jitsu.
I just have high expectations for people.
Yeah, that's true. But I don't think the demand for tournaments is going anywhere. I think people are really, really itching to get to it. And I think because you see a lot of people like
what percentage?
I don't know. I really don't know. But
people that weren't before?
No, not people who weren't before. It's going to be the same people. The same people who were dying to compete before are going to still be dying to compete still in those tournaments. But I think that I lost my train of thought because you
interrupted you. Yeah, sorry. I'm sorry to draw your ire on that one. I could just see the hate stemming across the thing at me that you forgot what you were going to say. But I will agree with you. But on this thing that, like, they're definitely the people that were itching to compete before, like, even more so now.
Yeah.
My thought on that is that no more people will want to compete more than normal, maybe less. And of those people itching to compete, that group is the same. But let's now take a very small percentage, even if it's just very small, and say those people have decided that they've done some soul searching and competing is not something that's as important to them. So I see it as only losing from that group.
I just think it's going to stay the same. So
I think
I think it'll stay the same. And I think, there's a couple people and like just one person in particular that after competing in pans, like she's just kind of been unmotivated to like compete, to train hard or whatever. And like this is somebody who is like addicted to training and like she broke her knee and still is like, nope, I'm gonna train through it and not, whatever. And so it's not like, and I see that kind of like just I don't know, just like lack of motivation. And I think that stems from a lot of people, like when the gym started opening up again, it's like competitors, what do? We just went straight back into training for competition, hoping that there would be competition, praying for that, but not knowing. And so this whole year since basically June, it's like we've been preparing to compete in these big tournaments in hopes that they would come. And it's like Pan Am's came, Nogi Pans came, but like filled up immediately. So it's a limited number there. And then it's Master Worlds, but these aren't master competitors that we're talking about. I'm talking about people who want to compete at adult. So Adult Worlds isn't there. So I'm like, what are we doing this for? Like, why am I training so hard and killing myself? It's like you lose that motivation. And I think that's something that like myself included, we use tournaments and things like that as tournaments really, because even some of the like pro events, like I'm training hard all the time. So I'm not changing my routine for that. But like for a tournament, I'm going to change a lot in preparation for that. And so why am I going to do all that work when there's nothing in sight? And there's nothing I'm chasing for that,
And I wonder how much of that, like what you kind of alluded to, talking about like the pandemic and just like not knowing. I think, a lot of that kind of sort of like, what am I doing this all for? That competitors get. I think that exists in 2020, but in 2021, I think
people have like a short-term memory. It's going to be like all kind of dory. Like we forgot it happened and we're just back to normal.
We talked about it in like maybe the last episode or maybe 2 ago. Like, do the tournaments this year have an asterisk like next to them because maybe not everybody was there, just different circumstances. And I think universally we agreed like yes.
Yeah.
And I think that in 2021 you're going to see just kind of a renewed sense of energy. And I think part of that will actually stem from the first part of the thing, or my prediction, which is I think jiu-jitsu gyms will boom.
But I think one of the things that'll be interesting to see is, will the tournament still be held in the same spots? Like California, the Long Beach, the Pyramid, like that's been like the like mecca of the world's like for so long. That's like so like that building is such a symbolic thing for competitive jiu-jitsu, like competing in the Pyramid, and or like Pans at like in Irvine. It's like, is that still going to be where those events are held? Because California, I mean, through this whole thing has been, I think people have been kind of leaving a lot, and like a lot of like big names, people are moving out of California because it's like so expensive, and then they're like, we've been super strict on like how are super stupid, I guess, on how we've handled Governor Newsom. I'll just throw that out there. I'm not a fan, but how he's handled like the whole pandemic in general. And so I wonder if those spots are still going to be like this spot, or are they going to change? Like everything's going to be in Florida and Texas for a while now.
In my mind, the answer is that's more 2020. Like, meaning if you're holding the events in Florida or whatever, it's like the same asterisk applies. We're not out of this kind of like mode that we're in now. I think.
Yeah. But what if like they're like, oh, it's cheaper to host these events here, and like it might be a better deal, or
dramatically changes everything then. Because I think
I agree. I think it could dramatically change everything. I
agree with you that I think the enthusiasm kind of centers around the fact that these things have been built up over time. Like you mentioned, the Pyramid. I think 90% of our listeners probably don't really even understand that or probably know about it. But like there's competitors that worthlessly probably pursue the idea of like competing in the Pyramid from around the world and stuff like that.
Guess what? You could go to a Long Beach Open. They hold it at the Pyramid too.
It's true. And I think that like you take away some of those things, and it just like Pans this year, it's like, yeah, but it was at the end of the year, not when they normally have it, and it was in Florida and not everybody could come. And I think you lose some of the allure of like that event means. I think it was really stupid of them to hold it, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, Master Worlds, that's for sure going back to Vegas. That's not gonna change.
But did they taint it this year by actually like having it? Because it was this thing where it was like a week long. They had an expo associated with it and stuff like that. And it's partially because you have so many like basically older people that say like, hey, or not even just necessarily older people, but just people that are hobbyists that are like, I want to compete in my age division because I think that, like it'd be more fair. This is kind of the big one for, people that like are not trying to win like an adult world championship or something. And so it just got bigger and bigger. And I just wonder if this year you have kind of this like faux one. Like, does it take away the allure of it?
I wonder what the numbers are, like what their capacity was and what's the difference, because usually at Master Worlds, they have, like last time they had the Vegas Open alongside of Master Worlds so that you compete in adult. So they had like all this stuff, and then, it's like 25 mats or something crazy.
Yeah.
And it's just an insane thing, which I think it would be, again, irresponsible to have that many mats set up. You'd have to spread it out again for like 2 weeks to be able to get everybody to compete.
Number 7, that's in Georgia. But yeah, I think like it's weird how that kind of like just coalesces in this kind of uncertainty. I guess
coalesce is a word.
Oh yeah. It's a word. It's like stuff's like getting all. It's like if you melt something and all this stuff. Trust me, it's a word. But like, but yeah, I think, you know, what I was saying earlier about like gyms booming or whatever. It's like tournaments I think could be inconsequential. I'm going to make two predictions. One is that jiu-jitsu gyms boom in 2021 as people want to get back to stuff. I guess I'll start there. I guess do you disagree with that at all?
I see, you know, like I've already seen things when things started to open up, like we've had like a lot of new students sign up already, and we're still missing a ton of students that are on hold or just like still like worried to come back to jiu-jitsu. And so I think when there's a vaccine out and everybody's like ready to train again and like everything seems like safe, I guess it's going to be insanity. Like, I really do. Because I think people are going to be dying. People are like, the people I talk to,
not literally dying. People,
yeah, people are going to stop dying and then be dying to get back to jiu-jitsu. But I think like the people that I talked to already that are staying out, just being cautious for whatever, you know, their own like convictions are, they're like having this like internal battle every day with themselves about like, oh, I want to train, but you know, but I shouldn't, or like maybe my wife's not letting me train because she's worried about it, or maybe like you know, I live with my elderly mother or family member, and
I'm an elderly mother.
It's true.
But yeah, I mean, like, I think you nailed it. So I think for those reasons, you know, like you're going to see this huge overwhelming surge of people starting jiu-jitsu, people that maybe even had stopped doing jiu-jitsu prior to this that are like, I got to do something. And that's what's crazy. I don't know if you've had this phenomenon or not, but like people at work, people at the dog park, people that I know that are not doing jiu-jitsu, like they're all asking me about jiu-jitsu now.
Yeah.
They're like, people, I think just as much as they want to like work out and get back in shape or whatever, like a gym is okay for that, but like maybe gyms will still have this kind of like unsafe stigma.
But it's not even that. I think people are like, okay, I've done the gym thing and like I've done this, like, because you've done this all at home workouts and all this stuff, and it's just kind of boring and it gets mundane, and you're like me as somebody who I like working out and I like training hard, but not just for the sake of looking good. Like I like to have a goal, and like, and some people, like, I enjoy just working out in general, but jiu-jitsu is a way to like work out and get in shape in a fun way. And I think people are looking for that, where it's like a change of pace, and then also the community.
That's what I was going to say. Is I think people want
people want that community.
Like, I need to work out, but I need people. I need to just be around some people.
You can go to the gym and just put your headphones on and like not talk to anybody, and that's kind of like what I would prefer to do, because otherwise I'm like messing up my sets and things like that.
Even the introverts, like, I think, see the opportunity to have like built-in friends with an activity, and I think that's one thing.
Well, that's why all those, like, you know, like the like summer softball leagues and volleyball leagues, it's fun. It's like, it's not necessarily like the most competitive thing. It's just a fun way to like be active and hang out with people and like make friends and be social, you know? And so I think jiu-jitsu is a great way to do that. And I think people are really, really like looking for that kind of like human interaction.
It's actually the thing that I'm enjoying the most about doing jiu-jitsu now is like, just, you know, like going and being around people, you know, like, but yeah, I think it's funny because it's like, that's the thing that I like now is being able to just go and just be around people. Like, it's like, oh, I need to get a workout in for the day, but I also like want to just feel good.
Yeah.
And, you know, we talk about it all the time, and I don't know when people realize this, but you realize like you never regret coming to jiu-jitsu, you know?
Yeah, it's just like being around people. Something that is just kind of funny is like I'm somebody that needs social interaction. I need those relationships and stuff. And I can get like, if I'm at home, like I've been stuck at home this week, I can kind of get kind of isolated and just kind of like whatever. But it's bad for me because it puts me in a bad mood. And on Tuesday, I was doing this call. I had a Zoom call with another jiu-jitsu athlete that she's doing like was interviewing me for something for school, and we talked for so long and I felt bad, but like we've talked and we know each other like through tournaments, but like I've never really hung out with her like had like in-depth conversations. And it was one of those things where it's like we had to get off the phone because like she had to go somewhere and we had to get off the call. But I'm like, it just shows you how much, like connecting with people like really changes.
Yeah.
And then having this like community and like gives you just, I don't know, it just helps just a overall happiness. Like,
yeah, I think it's something that's really discounted. And I remember this from my first startup where it was all based in positive psychology. So I had to know all this different research, but there was all these things about like just happiness studies and it affecting health and all kinds of other stuff. And like one of the core things, like one of the biggest things that affects someone's happiness is their social relationships. And that's the thing that I look at now where, somebody like you, it's like you have a high need for like social interaction for happiness, but then you have your introverted people, which, if you ask, a typical introvert, like, do you need to be around people every day? They'd say no. Like, they don't want that.
Yeah.
But even the most introverted people right now, I think because of their introvertedness are more isolated than they've ever been. And I think, jiu-jitsu is something that kind of pulls that out of you, know, but I think everybody's starting to see this like, oh, I have this physical need for people.
Yeah, because even like I did that Zoom call and it's cool, but it's so much different than like getting together in person with somebody and being able to like see somebody face to face. Like I talk to my family back home all the time on the phone. Like, well, I talk to my mom probably a couple times a week, and being kind of like isolated through this whole year, I'm like really dying to go back home now and like see my family and my family, really, some friends, because like I miss that interaction. It's like it's very different getting on a FaceTime with somebody versus like being there in person. And I think usually I'm like, I want to go home because I miss everybody, like every year, like that's the same thing. But like now, like I'm like really looking forward to going home because I'm really missing everybody. And it's because, we didn't get everybody to come visit this year how they were supposed to. And it was like this distance in between us. And then also the fact of it's like, well, is it safe to go travel and see them? Like, should we go see them? That kind of thing. Where it's like when you tell me, it's like I'm very much like, tell me I can't do something and I'm going to be like, well, I'll show you.
Yeah, that's like, you 100%. But I think, it's that's why another reason why I think looking in the future, like jiu-jitsu is going to boom is because I think there's a lot of people that it's like, whether you're coming or not coming or whatever, you like are like, I can't wait to get back and see everybody. Like, coming back to school from the summer or something where it's like, I can't wait to actually just see all my friends. Like, it was great to have the break, but I'm actually like just pumped to kind of like get around everybody and that sort of thing. And I think, just the want that people have gotten for jiu-jitsu, I really do think that it's going to be like this like thing that just kind of like blows up culturally because it's sort of in the zeitgeist. It's been growing in popularity. It's sort of cool. Like, it didn't used to be cool. It was a martial art. Like, people thought you did kung fu.
I mean, people still do.
People think you have like a, what's the kind of tree that Mr. Miyagi had?
A bonsai?
Bonsai tree. They think you have like a bonsai tree. And I don't know. Like,
I just watched the season of Cobra Kai. Yeah. Well, there's 2 seasons out because I think we started watching it when it first came out on YouTube, right? Yeah. And I was like, it's kind of cheesy, like I don't know, and it's bad acting is what we were decided, so we didn't get into it.
Because the first Karate Kid's known for its great acting.
It's exactly. I mean, it was ahead of its time, and like those kinds of performances were so
low key. Mr. Miyagi was the best in that film.
Well, obviously, it's not low key.
Yeah,
everybody knows
he was Arnold from Happy Days, right?
I don't know.
And
I don't know what Happy Days
knows because they're like, "What's Happy Days?"
Yeah. Like, no, but I watched that and I was into it. Like, it's super cheesy if you can get past the cheesiness of it.
Which is crazy because when we watched it on YouTube a long time ago, that was like before we moved to California. So that was like 5-6 years ago.
Was it? No.
Yeah, because we watched it in our place in O'Fallon.
Did we?
Yeah, because I remember trying to hook up the laptop to watch it because it was getting like hype. So it's just weird that it's like a thing now that people are finding.
Yeah. And there's another season coming out soon.
Oh, is there?
Yep. I saw that. So, like you can stay up to date on your Karate Kid Cobra Kai.
But before we get to 2021, that is something that we've got like to get through the middle of. And that is that this has become like the season that like Netflix and all those other people like drop their like whatever they think is going to be big because people like binge watch stuff over the holidays.
Yeah, but we've been like, binge watching all year.
Yeah, it's kind of like when you've been kind of like burning it up all year long. Do you think that you're going to be able to still kind of like get people to like
no, you know what
have that behavior?
What I feel like is really smart. What they've done is they keep releasing like old shows that were like popular, like. Sister came out, and we talked about that.
It's a show favorite.
I watch it; it's amazing. And then Dave Chappelle's show just came out on Netflix. Or the Chappelle Show, not Dave Chappelle Show, but the
we
Chappelle
know him
Show.
as Dave, close personal friend.
But the Chappelle Show and things like that. We just watched this like Fresh Prince reunion, and I'm like, I need to go back and watch the Fresh Prince, like. All these shows that were super popular like in the 90s are getting like dropped to where you can binge watch all the seasons. And I think that's kind of like, I think that's hitting a certain kind of nostalgia with people, and that is like really popular at the moment.
Yeah. And I think a lot of the styles and things like that, kind of the early 90s, mid 90s or whatever. I think a lot of that's like sort of the style right now, and the Gen Z I think is maybe identifying with that. So they're finding the shows attractive for all the reasons like I think millennials did. But you mentioned a couple of like the classics in that era. You know what I'm surprised by is I'm waiting for Saved by the Bell. Because I feel like that's something that's completely undiscovered from.
But I feel like Saved by the Bell tried to make a resurgence, maybe. But I don't know. I need to go back and watch some Saved by the Bell and remember if I love it that much.
My first thought is Saved by the Bell was like maybe a little bit more scripted, kind of just like eye roll, like whatever. And like something like The Fresh Prince, for example, is maybe not so much that way.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Watching some of those clips the other day, I was like, the show is pretty like paint by numbers. You kind of see what's coming. It's not like it's some like masterpiece.
Be careful what you say.
Yeah, no, I had to pick my words carefully.
Because don't talk about The Fresh Prince like that.
Yep. It's like I'm criticizing a jiu-jitsu association or something like that. You choose your words carefully. You never know what guy's gonna like. People
will take everything very personally.
Hate you forever and never say anything.
Cool. It's affecting me greatly.
What? What does that guy say about me? He says behind your back, but shakes your hand to your face.
Mm-hmm. Well, or just looks the other way and won't even look at your eyes, because that's happened to me recently.
Yeah. Well, you make a lot of enemies.
Why?
No. Don't get mad at me.
I feel like that was pointed. Like I did something wrong in that scenario.
And she wonders why she has enemies.
You about to get slapped.
That's why I don't want to look at you. I don't want to get slapped. But no. Speaking of getting slapped, how's MMA things coming? We've kind of given people. And
we talked about it last week a little bit, and it's still coming along. And
somebody slapped you yet?
No. But I was thinking it would be really fun to do one of those combat jiu-jitsu events because of the slap. Yeah. Like there is like just to be able to Stockton slap somebody in the face.
I was getting ready to say, dope. Like we were talking about the other day, you working on your Stockton slap. But this combat jiu-jitsu thing, the biggest problem I have with it is that almost every instance that I see it, it's like really, really, I'm trying to pick my words carefully here. It's in tournaments that are a certain way or organized in a fashion in which I'm afraid that I don't trust it to be overly professional.
Well, I'm not worried about that. I'm used to competing in things that are not overly professional. This is jiu-jitsu, babe. Come on. What are you talking about?
Jiu-jitsu, basically not professional.
That should be the motto of the sport.
Yeah.
But no, actually that kind of does like the combat jiu-jitsu. It's like funny because I don't remember if I talked about this or not, but we talked about it this week, and I had the like revelation of, you know,
when I did that with your hand as you said
it. Well, you know, like I've been training like and doing some like full MMA sparring, and you know, there's certain positions where it's like, oh, I can punch the person from here and that kind of stuff. Like it's kind of cool, whatever. But I was realizing, like, man, like when you start to punch people, like it's a lot harder to hold them and control them, because like in certain positions, you know, you give too much space. And so then last week I had an opportunity where I was just put in an MMA situation where I was supposed to just be grappling the person, like helping somebody get ready. And I'm like, man, like I can really control somebody if I just want to use my jiu-jitsu. And then if I'm in a position where I have them like pinned and like maybe like this certain, like their hands are trapped and they can't move, then I can maybe do some damage. But I realize I'm like, no, I need to just like trust my instincts on grappling. Like if I'm on top and I'm like in control, like don't give them an opportunity to get back in the game. Like I wouldn't do that in jiu-jitsu. Like why would I do that in MMA? And so that was something that was like poop, light bulb to me like last week.
And I think you see Khabib do that really well.
Where like I basically just want to be Khabib.
He does that so well. Like he just grapples, and then when he does throw punches,
and Damian Maia too.
Yeah,
you know, true.
Like Damian Maia is probably more even so on the spectrum of like he's just grappling. Like but it's smart because he knows, like, you know, if he starts throwing a bunch of punches from half guard and then the guy just, you know, uses the space there to recover guard, like those punches are not ending the fight. They're not knocking the guy out.
No.
And they're just helping him escape, you know. So what is the point of the punches that you're throwing in MMA? If you're fighting someone and you start to hit them, are you getting them to open up for a submission? Mm-hmm. Are you in a position to where they can't move and you can finish the fight from there? Because if not, you're basically trying to score advantages.
Yeah, and that's like I'm not an advantage fighter.
Never have been.
I can't do it.
In fact, you fight worse when you try.
When I try, I make myself a bad fighter. So
you're like, what am I supposed to do? Try less?
Yes. So that's my revelation for MMA and being a jiu-jitsu as my like foundation for fighting, as I've realized, which doesn't mean that I am not trying to train my striking. Obviously, I need to like, you know, I'm trying to get better at that, and my wrestling needs to be on point so I can get people to the ground. And then use my jiu-jitsu.
And then maybe one day knock somebody out, like our good friend JJ.
Yes. Shout out to JJ Wilson for just like having like a 20-second knockout like in Bellator today.
Which is weird they had it on a Thursday.
Yeah.
We watched it in the afternoon here.
Yeah, it was like 2:30 he was fighting, but like super weird. But it was really, really nice and just easy work. So I think he's probably ready to fight like in a week again.
But I think I think that's really the thing that I think grapplers that transition to MMA that do a really good job of doing it is it's like you've learned to be excellent in jiu-jitsu. So let's like focus on that, like you were talking about the wrestling. But because you know how to get excellent in jiu-jitsu, realize you have a superpower, and that power is the ability to like learn how to get good at another martial art. So like you need to develop this while at the same time knowing that like basically the jiu-jitsu or whatever,
you can always fall back on that.
Yeah, that's your core competency, you know. But when you do, you know, kind of focus those efforts in another area, maybe you can knock somebody out, you know.
I mean, that would be dope.
That would be cool. I'd be pumped.
You guys, Tyler wants me to be a striker now. I'm just saying it. You just heard him.
Just
he
let
said,
it bang, bro. You take the girl down. I'm just shouting, stand them up.
I'd be like, what are you doing?
The world's worst coach.
No. And this is why he won't be in my corner.
You're up 2 rounds, and in the third round, I'm like, just go for broke.
Yeah, so
I've tried to talk people out of letting me be their corner before. I've explicitly told people, like, don't make me your corner. I'm not good at it.
You're not the worst.
I have a story.
Like, for sure, somebody else has to be the worst.
But yeah, I've been the world's worst corner man in instances.
Don't bring them water, can't handle cuts, like all this stuff.
But I'll tell you what I do well, and I tell people.
Here's the thing, though, and you didn't even give good advice on how to like handle that round, the next round, going out there for.
Oh, you're talking about the time that I got our good friend smoked in the face?
Yeah.
Smoked
in the face.
And then just jabbed adrenaline in his open cut between rounds and said nothing after we forgot his water.
Good luck. Use jujitsu.
Number one, I should say, like, just based on all the other things that we just said, it probably helped him that I didn't give him any other advice. It's like, but I mean, the advice that we did shout in between rounds.
I mean, octopus guard is not good advice.
See, I didn't yell that, but our other corner man did, and so we were quite the team. But yeah, I would say the only advice he got that first round after we were like, after he got hit in the face was octopus guard.
Okay, so what about your corner work on other fighters that you've cornered AJ before. How'd you do there?
Adequate to fair. Yeah. Like, I think I do a good job of like keeping things loose. I always tell people that's my best quality as a corner man. I'm gonna keep it light in the back, right? And then, with AJ was always that guy that it didn't really matter what you were saying. Like it was going to go how it was going to go no matter what the corners or coaches told him. Like he was not that guy that's like, put him up against the cage and then does exactly that, you know? But I have cornered guys that have done that before, done exactly what they said they were going to do. And for that, it's really, I've learned just keeping people focused, right?
Yeah.
Like, when I say like keeping it loose, that doesn't mean like trying to distract them. It just means like trying to make sure that they're focused.
Keep focused, but like
they don't have to think about like, where's the guy to
wrap
wrap my hands, because you've already gone and got that guy or figured it out and taken care of that for him. To me, I think some of the best fighters in the world, like that's what you have to do, is try to do everything you can to remove everything else that keeps them from not being able to focus on the fight. I'm
not gonna lie, I'm a pretty good corner woman. I've done it twice, and both times my fighter has won, and I'm just pretty good at it.
Yeah, I've got a winning record. Yeah, I got a winning record as a corner man.
And I haven't done anything and damage to my part.
I've got a journeyman's record.
That's an accurate statement, I would say.
Yeah. MMA, like cornering people in MMA, is just very nerve-wracking for me because things can really change. Super
nerve-wracking.
Things can really change in a minute. Like I can think of fights that I've cornered somebody in which they were doing something really well, like had the person in mount, and then they get rolled over from mount or something, and then somehow give their back within like 2 seconds, and they're getting pounded on. You're like looking at the clock, and it's like 12 seconds. You're like, 12 seconds, hang on. But 12 seconds of a jiu-jitsu match is like you just protecting your neck. 12 seconds of an MMA fight, it's like, just hang on. And then you see them getting punched in the side of the head. You're like, well, maybe escape a little bit as you go, though, because otherwise it's going to be a concussion. And, yeah. I
mean, it is really nerve-wracking. And, it's really hard to coach when you have to wear a mask. And I feel like somehow I feel like I'm loud, but then when I'm coaching, I'm not loud. I don't know. Like because I feel like that just happens. Like I'm not loud when I'm coaching, and then you have to wear a mask, and it's like muffling your voice, and it's like, yeah.
I want to sound clip the part out where you said, "I feel like I'm loud." But yeah, I think there's all kinds of weird aspects of just the virus in general, and it probably even affects your corner work, or maybe enhances it. In my case, it might enhance it.
Maybe
you can't hear it.
No, you can.
You couldn't hear the mask muffles me. Like maybe that helps. You can't hear what I say. You imagine what you think I would say, and maybe it's better than what I would say.
Yeah, that might be good for you.
It's science.
And science.
And speaking of science, we've come full circle because we were talking about the
science of Keon aminos.
The science of Keon aminos. That's right. Keon is a sponsor of the show and someone that actually, we were customers for a long time. You started using their essential amino acids partially because they were some of the only ones that were making them.
Yeah, like everybody makes the BCAAs, but it wasn't like, there was very few people making like the essential aminos, and Kion was one of the brands that didn't have like any of that added like artificial sugars and things like that.
Yeah.
And I think it's like it's keto friendly and like paleo friendly, like all diet friendlies. And so
I actually turned you on to the idea of essential amino acids because I was like trying to find like some decent research on like BCAAs and recovery, which is branched chain amino acids, which like tons of athletes take in between workouts and stuff for recovery. And all the research basically showed, like, and this has been maybe a year or so, that, essential amino acids actually were the things that needed to be present in most cases to actually repair muscles, and that BCAAs just like on their own were largely ineffective. Realize the studies on this stuff are not the world's greatest because it's, who's funding it. But irregardless, there does seem to be some compelling evidence that if you're going to take amino acids, like, you should definitely take essential ones, which
the EAAs instead of BCAAs.
That's right.
Yes. And like Kion is awesome. They have like great products. And then they also sent me to try out their Flex supplement. And I've really actually been liking it. It's like if you're a jiu-jitsu athlete, your joints are for sure taking a beating. And
tell me more.
So the Flex has like is like good for like your joints, repairing them, like in
it's got turmeric in it and
some other stuff. I don't know. But I will say I've been taking it for a while and I tweaked my elbow like and it was hurting really bad, like to the point where it like woke me up when I was sleeping because it was like so bad. And elbows happen all the time. And usually
that's another jiu-jitsu statement.
Yes, elbows happen all the time.
Basically a professional sport.
But I think I've been taking that Flex supplement, and I felt like I'm recovering. I haven't noticed my elbow hurting in my training. Like usually it's going to be like a couple of months of like kind of like irritated every time I'm training, and I'm like not noticing at all. So I'm just going to say it's the Flex.
Yeah.
That's helping me because it's the only thing that's different.
That's your
really.
Truth?
Yeah. It is my truth. That's how I feel, maybe.
And then obviously our other sponsor who we've been working with, Fuji Sports, for 7-8 years probably.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I know, since at least 2012.
I mean, there's not really a lot I have to tell you other than like everybody knows Fuji. It's pretty much like the gold standard for jiu-jitsu kimonos and jiu-jitsu gear. And you've been using all their new MMA gloves and stuff like that.
Yeah, I really like them. It's good quality.
Man, how much, like, you can look at the old MMA stuff that I have and like compare it. And it's like you can just see the evolution of how much better the quality and just construction of the stuff is.
I really enjoy it. So if you are interested in trying out Kion, you can go to Kion.com, I think is what it is, and use the code BISHOP BJJ and save some money, some like 15% off. And if you want to try out some Fuji products, go to fujisports.com, use the code BISHOP.
You get 20% off, which is like, especially around the holidays, like if you're going to get somebody a gi, like, and you're like, I don't know what kind of gi I'm going to get them a Fuji one, you save 20%, and then they'll think you spent 20% more than that.
Yeah.
Sign.
When Tyler and I first started dating, like we were every birthday, anniversary, Christmas, holiday, it was always like some kind of like, I got him like all kinds of like MMA and jiu-jitsu gear, and he had the same
first pair of MMA shorts you got me for, I think it was Christmas. You got it from MMA Warehouse.
I can't remember which ones. Were they the Wanderlei ones?
Yeah,
the black and white ones with his face, like his thing. Yeah, I remember.
I was a huge Wanderlei Silva fan.
Yeah,
I'm a guy with no knockout power in his hands that only wanted to grapple.
He's just modeling your game after Wanderlei.
I think that's what happens to jiu-jitsu people and MMA. Is like ballers want to be rappers and rappers want to be ballers, you know?
Yep.
And that's what we'll leave you with. So we want to thank everybody for joining the show. And hopefully everyone is looking forward to 2021 and all the jiu-jitsu that we're going to do that year. But we still got some time left, so 2020 is not done yet.
Well, let's make the most of it.
Make the most of it. So thanks for every.
Thanks for every.
Man, you think.
Okay, thanks for tuning in. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, leave some reviews on whatever platform you're listening or watching on, and we would really appreciate that. So
spam if you're in a work Slack or some type of setting, just spam the Slack channel with the links to the podcast and stuff.
Yeah.
Even if they don't listen and they're just like, "What is this?" Like those page views are great because we run ads on them sometimes and.
Yep. So thank you so much, and we'll see y'all next time.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.